Have you ever noticed how exhausted you feel when you're trying to keep someone's attention, when you're waiting for a reply, or a like, or some kind of sign that you still matter in their world? It's not just sadness, it's not just insecurity, it's emotional addiction, the kind nobody talks about. You've built pieces of your identity on how others see you, on your role, on your status, on the approval of people who may not even truly see your soul. And it's subtle. At first, it feels like connection, ambition, passion, but over time, it starts to own you. You keep checking your worth in someone else's reflection. You keep measuring your success by numbers, attention, recognition. You stay in situations, even painful ones, because they give you some hit of feeling valuable. It's not love, it's not purpose, it's a cycle of chasing and performing just to feel like you're enough. And you wonder why you're tired, why you feel like a stranger in your own life, why you can't breathe unless someone tells you you're doing okay. But what if your peace was never meant to be held hostage by people, positions, or praise? What if you could care deeply without clinging? What if you could love someone without losing yourself? What if you could succeed without needing it to define your worth? That's where Stoicism enters, not as a cold philosophy to shut down your feelings, but as a deep emotional healing path, one that sets you free from this invisible bondage. Stoicism reminds you, you are not your status, you are not your relationships, you are not the validation you chase. You are something stronger, more stable, more sacred. You are your virtue, your choices, your presence. You are the peace that remains after applause fades, the self that survives when others walk away, the quiet power that no one else can give or take from you. This journey is not about detachment from life. It's about detachment from illusion, from the false idea that your wholeness lives outside of you. If you're ready to stop needing, if you're ready to stop performing, if you're ready to stop trying to be enough for everyone else and start returning to your own soul, then these 7 Stoic techniques will not just guide you, they will liberate you. Let's begin. Technique 1. The art of letting go without losing yourself. There comes a point in every soul's journey when it faces this moment, the silent surrender, not because it is weak, but because it has carried too much for too long. You held on to people who were already slipping. You clung to dreams that no longer fit your truth. You wrapped your identity around outcomes that refused to stay. And it hurt, not in a dramatic way, but in the quiet, exhausting kind of way that eats at you from the inside. And yet, letting go feels like death. You whisper to yourself, if I let go, what if I lose everything? What if I lose myself? But what if I told you, you don't lose yourself by letting go. You lose yourself by clinging to what was never truly yours. Detachment is not about indifference. It's not about coldness. It's about learning to love without ownership, to care without dependency, and to walk away without losing your wholeness. This is the paradox of detachment. You release not because you don't care, but because you finally do care for yourself, for your peace, for your sanity. The Stoics understood this long ago. Epictetus reminded us that nothing external belongs to us. Not wealth, not reputation, not even the body. So why grieve as if we've lost a piece of ourselves when something leaves our life? Here's the truth. The job, the person, the identity, they were never who you were. They were chapters, not your soul. They were mirrors, not your essence. And when you grip too tightly to what has expired, you suffocate your future. You block the flow. You imprison yourself in yesterday's room while the door to tomorrow stands wide open. Letting go isn't a passive act. It's an active reclaiming of your power. It takes courage to stop calling people who never call back. It takes strength to end a dream that no longer matches your evolution. It takes wisdom to walk away from something just because your soul outgrew it. So how do you begin? You sit with the discomfort. You breathe through the resistance. You remind yourself that survival is not the same as peace. And you ask the powerful question, who am I without this thing I'm clinging to? Then you go deeper. You start rebuilding. You fill the space not with distractions, but with presence, with values, with truth, with the stillness that reminds you you are always more than what you lost. And as time passes, something beautiful happens. You realize you didn't fall apart. You fell back into yourself. That's not a breakdown. That's a homecoming. Letting go is not the end. It is the sacred beginning of a life where your worth no longer depends on what stays, but on who you choose to become. Technique 2, negative visualization. Preparing the heart, strengthening the soul. There's a silent fear we all carry, the fear of losing the things and people we love, the fear of being left behind, of waking up one day to find that what gave your life meaning is suddenly gone. Most people avoid this fear. They distract themselves. They live in denial, pretending permanence where there is none. And then when loss inevitably comes, they are shattered. But the Stoics, they did something different. They didn't deny loss. They practiced it, not as masochists, but as masters of the mind. This practice is called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. It means you consciously imagine loss, not to bring yourself pain, but to train your soul to remain unshaken. You picture your child not waking up, your partner walking away, your home burning, your limbs failing, your name forgotten, not out of morbid fantasy, but out of spiritual strength building. And what happens? You begin to realize something breathtaking. Even without these things, I would still endure. Even if I lose what I cherish, I will not lose myself. This practice doesn't steal your joy, it deepens it. It brings tenderness back to your daily life. Suddenly, the mundane becomes miraculous. You stop rushing your conversations. You notice the sound of laughter, the shape of clouds, the comfort of touch. You become more grateful, not in theory, but in presence. And the fear, it loosens its grip, because you've already tasted loss. In your imagination, you've sat with it. You've made peace with it. So when the real moment comes, you are not a stranger to grief. You are already acquainted, already steady. Seneca said, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." And that's what this technique does. It steals fear from the future, so you can return to now. It removes the illusion of control, so you can live with truth. It prepares the heart, not to be hard, but to be resilient and grateful and free. So tonight, as you close your eyes, whisper thank you to the people you love, to the comfort you still have, to the life that still surrounds you. Because it might all be gone tomorrow. And that's not meant to depress you. It's meant to wake you up to the richness of what you already hold. Technique 3, the power of the present moment. Stay where life actually happens. We live in a world that pulls us in every direction, except the one we're standing in. Your mind wakes up in the morning, but instead of meeting the moment, it runs. To the past, to regrets you can't change, to the future, to fears you can't control, to fantasies, to problems, to people who aren't even in the room, and you feel heavy, exhausted, lost, like you're living in a storm that never stops. But here's the truth Stoicism gently places in your hand. Life only happens in the present, not yesterday, not tomorrow, just here, just now, just this breath. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." And it wasn't just poetic advice, it was a survival tactic. Because everything you fear, everything you're replaying, is happening in your mind, not in your moment. Right now, in this exact second, you're breathing, your heart is beating, the roof is above you, you are not falling apart, you are alive. That's not nothing, that's everything. And the more you return to the present, the more you begin to feel a strange kind of peace. Not the peace of a perfect life, but the peace of being present with life exactly as it is. The Stoic doesn't escape from the now, they enter it more fully. This is the beginning of detachment, not from people or goals, but from illusions, from stories your mind spins that convince you you're behind, unworthy, unsafe. Let me ask you this. How much of your anxiety is about things that aren't even real right now? Not real problems, just imagined ones. You see, your nervous system doesn't know the difference, whether it's happening in front of you or just playing in your head. Your body still reacts. Tight chest, racing thoughts, sleepless nights. So the Stoic path says, return, come back to this chair, to this sound, to this hand on your heart, to this moment, the only moment that ever truly belongs to you. Try this practice. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, say silently, in this moment, I have enough. In this moment, I am safe. In this moment, I choose peace. Let it settle. You don't have to fix everything today. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be here, fully, honestly, gently. Because the more you practice this return, the more you'll notice your suffering was never in the present. It was in your resistance to it. And when you stop resisting life, you begin to feel it, all of it, the beauty, the sorrow, the stillness. And that is where healing begins. Not in some distant future, but in your willingness to truly arrive. Technique 4, identity without attachment. You are not what you own or who you please. Let me ask you something that might sting. If everything you owned disappeared tomorrow, your job title, your relationships, your status, your appearance, would you still know who you are? Would there be anything left of you? Or would your sense of self vanish with the things you clung to? For most people, the answer is quiet, painfully quiet, because we've been taught, subtly, slowly, relentlessly, that we are only as worthy as what we perform, what we possess, and who approves of us. You're not just someone living, you're the successful one, the attractive one, the provider, the achiever, the partner. And without those roles, you feel naked, unseen, forgotten. But Stoicism doesn't let you hide behind those identities. It asks you to strip them away, one by one, until what remains is truth. You are not your reputation, said Epictetus. You are not your belongings. You are not your body. You are your choices, your values, your mindset. The Stoic detaches from external identity, not to be detached from life, but to become rooted in what cannot be taken. Your sense of self is not a costume. It is not a nameplate on a desk. It is not the way others react to you on a screen. Your real identity is the part of you that endures loss, that faces criticism with calm, that finds peace when everything around you is falling apart. That's your true core, your inner citadel, as Marcus Aurelius called it. Let's be honest, that citadel, most people never build it. Because they're too busy decorating the outside world, they forget to develop an inner world. But you're here. You're choosing something different. You're choosing to define yourself not by what you own, but by what you embody. Not by applause, but by authenticity. Try this reflection. Sit in silence and ask yourself, if I lost every role and every possession, who would I still be? Would I be kind? Would I be strong? Would I be wise? Would I still walk with virtue when no one is watching? And then ask the harder question, have I been living to be seen or to be whole? When you begin this work, this identity rebirth, you will feel shaky. It's like walking without a mask for the first time. But slowly, your real face appears. And it is stronger, softer, more grounded. Not because of what you can show the world, but because of what you no longer need from it. This is the power of detachment from false identity. Not to become no one, but to finally become yourself. Unborrowed, unbranded, unbreakable. Technique 5, Amor Fati. Turning pain into power. There's a moment in everyone's life where the pain becomes too loud to ignore. Maybe you were betrayed, maybe you failed, maybe life took something from you that you never thought you could live without. And the first instinct is always the same. Why me? This shouldn't have happened. If only I could go back. We resist. We replay. We try to rewrite the past with our thoughts, as if somehow our mind can change what time already carried away. But it doesn't work. The pain stays, because pain doesn't dissolve through denial. It transforms only through acceptance, and not just passive acceptance, but a sacred, almost unthinkable kind. Amor Fati. Love your fate, not tolerate, not endure, love. This idea is one of the most radical and healing principles of Stoicism, because it teaches you to not only survive your life, but to embrace every part of it, especially the parts that hurt. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." That's amor fati. It is the moment you stop asking for a perfect life and start asking for a stronger soul. It is when you say, "This wound will become wisdom. This heartbreak will deepen me. This failure will carve room for greatness." You don't have to pretend you wanted the pain. You don't have to call it beautiful while it still bleeds. But you can look it in the eye and say, "I trust you're here for a reason. I'll find it." Because this is what the Stoic learns, that nothing is wasted. Not the delay, not the disappointment, not even the tragedy. Every difficult thing that ever happened to you gave you something: depth, compassion, stillness, clarity. It showed you who your real friends were. It stripped away your illusions. It brought you back to the truth, that you are not your circumstances. You are your response to them. So how do you practice amor fati? When something painful happens, stop asking, "How do I fix this?" Start asking, "What is this here to shape in me?" Instead of running from discomfort, lean into it with curiosity. Sit down with your grief. Invite your disappointment to speak. Say, "Teach me, break me open if you must, but let me grow from this." You won't feel powerful in that moment, but one day you will look back and realize that moment, the one you hated, was the one that formed your character. That's the shift. From resistance to reverence, from control to trust, from pain to purpose. So let this become your mantra. I do not need a different life. I need a deeper relationship with the life I already have. Because your path, with all its cracks and curves, is not the wrong one. It's the exact one your soul chose to walk to remember who you truly are. And when you can love that fate, you are no longer a victim of your story. You become its author. Technique 6. Voluntary discomfort. Strengthen the mind before the storm. What if the strength you need isn't built in comfort, but in the places you resist going? We live in a world obsessed with ease. Everything is designed to be convenient, instant, frictionless. But here's the paradox. The more we run from discomfort, the weaker we become. And the weaker we are, the more life terrifies us. The Stoic does not wait for hardship to strike to become strong. The Stoic chooses discomfort, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand this. Discomfort sharpens the soul before the blade of life arrives. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, practiced poverty. He would eat simple meals, sleep on the floor, wear rough clothes, and remind himself, is this the condition I feared? Why? Because if you can sit in hunger voluntarily, then actual hunger won't break you. If you can go without praise or luxury by choice, then rejection won't crush you. You stop fearing what you've already faced. Voluntary discomfort is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming capable. It's about proving to yourself, I can lose the things I think I need and still be whole. It breaks the illusion that happiness depends on your environment, and the moment that illusion dies, you become invincible. So what does this look like today? Sleep without a pillow for a night. Go 24 hours without using your phone. Fast for a morning or a day. Not to lose weight, but to gain mastery. Sit in silence without music, distraction, or dopamine. Walk in the cold without complaining. Say no to a comfort you usually reach for and watch what emotions rise. It's in that tension, the moment your mind begs to run, that your spirit grows, because now you are no longer a slave to craving. You're no longer owned by comfort. You are choosing strength on purpose with awareness. This practice reminds you that you're not just someone surviving life. You are someone training for it. When others collapse in panic, you stand still. When the storm comes, you've already rehearsed it in smaller, sacred ways. This doesn't mean you won't suffer, but you'll suffer well, with presence, with calm, with dignity. So ask yourself each morning, what can I do today that will make me more resilient tomorrow? And do it, not for punishment, but for freedom. Not to deny life's pleasures, but to no longer be dependent on them. Because once you've trained your mind to live without what most people worship, you carry a quiet power, the kind that can't be stolen, shaken, or sold. And when life finally tests you, you'll smile and say, this? I've already been here. I've already passed this test, in silence, in discipline, in solitude. That is the Stoic's strength, not in waiting for disaster, but in preparing the soul before the storm arrives. The final and most reflective practice is next. Technique 7, daily Stoic dialogue. Speak to your inner sage. There is a voice inside you. It doesn't shout, it doesn't panic, it doesn't chase approval. It simply knows. It knows what matters and what doesn't. It knows what's right, even when it's hard. It knows when you're betraying your values, even if no one else sees it. This voice, this quiet inner sage, is always with you. But in today's world of noise, most people never hear it. They wake up and scroll. They react. They consume. They compare. They listen to everyone, except themselves. But the Stoic doesn't live like that. The Stoic returns to their own mind daily, to listen, to reflect, to correct, to remember. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, didn't seek validation from the crowds. He wrote privately to himself, page after page, not as emperor, but as a student of life, a man reminding his soul of what it already knew, but kept forgetting. That's what this technique is, a daily reunion with your true self. So how do you do it? Find 5 minutes, before the world wakes, before the noise begins, before you forget who you are. Sit, breathe, close your eyes, or take a pen, and speak to your inner sage. You might ask, what do I truly value today? Where did I act out of fear yesterday? What would courage look like in this moment? Am I living my life or reacting to someone else's? And then you listen, not to the voice of ego, which screams, not to the voice of shame, which accuses, but to the voice of truth, which always feels calm, even when it hurts. This voice will never flatter you. It will not excuse your weakness, but it will guide you back to who you promised yourself you'd be. This is not self-help. This is self-governance. When you do this day after day, something powerful happens. You stop lying to yourself. You catch your habits before they become chains. You respond instead of react. You become your own counselor, your own guide. The world becomes less overwhelming because you now have a center. This is how the Stoic remains unshaken, not by denying emotion, but by daily remembering, I am not what happens to me, I am what I choose to do with it. So keep a journal, or whisper in silence, or walk and ask. But don't skip this dialogue, because when you speak to yourself with truth and virtue, you stop being a stranger to your soul. You become intimate with your own strength. You become loyal to your higher self. And slowly, you become someone you can trust. Not perfect, but present, rooted, real. That is the greatest freedom of all. Not to control the world, but to be someone who no longer needs to. You don't need to prove yourself anymore. Not to them, not to the world, not even to the version of you that was built from fear. Because now, you remember, your peace doesn't depend on who stays. Your worth doesn't rise and fall with your status. You are not what you chase. You are what you choose. And today, you chose to return to yourself, to let go, to breathe, to become whole, without needing anything outside of you to complete it. That's not detachment. That's freedom, and it's yours now.